What's up, friends? Thank you so much for stopping by. My name is Malika. So happy you stopped by my channel. If you like travel content and want to learn about unique destinations to visit and of course different ways you can move out of the US and live your dreams abroad, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because that is all I dish about, and check me out on Instagram and on TikTok. Today I'm wrapping up a trip to one of these destinations that have been on my bucket list for quite some time. Since I've been living in Asia, I knew that I could not miss this place before I moved, and it's Sumba. Sumba is one of the islands of Indonesia, and it's much bigger but much less densely populated than its neighbor Bali, and it's been such an absolutely incredible time being here. It's literally like the anti-Bali, like it's the opposite of that destination. If you know, you know, and I'm gonna dish into all the things you need to know to plan your perfect trip. So if you're looking for not just great beaches and amazing food, but real cultural immersion, unique experiences, and breathtaking landscapes, keep watching this video because you are going to want to come to Sumba. So how do you get here? It's about an hour-and-a-half flight from Bali, which was really smooth and really easy. I flew on Wings Air, which is one of the Indonesian low-cost airlines that hops to some of the other islands, and it was pretty smooth. As with any low-cost airline, be sure to check in a bag and pay for it in advance, and keep in mind the carry-on limit for the planes, because it's a tiny little plane, was only like 5 kilos. Mine was way heavier than that and they let me slide, but just keep that in mind. If they weigh it, you might end up having to gate check both of your items. And pack it very carefully because Sumba is not a destination where you can just easily run out and grab things that you forgot. Like, you're gonna kind of need to pack everything that you will need for your trip. So the best time to visit is the dry season, which is between May and October. I'm here now in June. Weather is perfect. It's sunny and bright, but it's not that humid, so you can kind of easily get out and enjoy all the nature. And then the rainy season is November to April, which I'm sure is still lovely, but just will be very wet and might be harder to get around. And also, the best things to do here are outside, so you won't be able to really experience that. Also, there are 2 airports, one in East Sumba and one in West Sumba, so decide which part of the island you want to land in and also what part you want to explore more, because the island is really big. It would be really hard to do some of both West Sumba and East Sumba on the same trip, unless you're staying for like 5 or 6 days and you want to like fly into one airport and then out the other. So just keep that in mind because it's not really easy to go west to east. So I'm staying in West, so everything in this video is going to be mostly about the things to do in West Sumba. So how do you get around Sumba? You really need to hire a driver or go with a tour guide, to be honest. You can be adventurous and rent a scooter, and many hotels will give you that option. The roads can be a little bit crazy because the infrastructure or lack of infrastructure, so there's not really things like street signs or lighting at night. A lot of the roads were not paved, like there's certain sections that it's just full of like rocks, and it's also really hard to navigate and get around if you don't know where you're going. So in Bali, I feel like you'd be fine renting a scooter, but I personally wouldn't do it in Sumba. I would just go with a driver. They're safer, they'll know all the spots, they'll know all the things you need to know, like when you're kind of getting into certain places, like how much you have to pay for parking at each one, if you have to tip like a local guide who's kind of running the stops or whatever. Like, they'll just kind of know everything and be able to help you out. So I recommend going with the guide. I booked mine through my hotel, and I will be putting their info in the description box because they are available for freelance services all over the island. They don't work exclusively with this hotel. And so where do you stay in Sumba? So if you're in the travel scene, you probably have heard of Nihi Sumba, which has been consistently rated as one of the best hotels in the world, and it has a price tag to justify it. Unfortunately, there are not that many nice mid-range hotels in Sumba. It's either going to be like super luxury properties like Nihi or Cap Caruso that are around like starting from $400 to over $1,000 a night, or kind of the like really lower end guest houses and like homestays that might just be like 30 or 40 bucks a night. There's only a handful of in the middle properties that are like nice and have amenities and services and are clean, but aren't like super luxury and premium. So I stayed at Sumba Beach House, which I absolutely love. It's so charming and so authentic, and the service is great. The beds are super comfortable. There's great just like a restaurant and a pool and like all the things that you would need at a hotel, and it was around like $150 a night. but because there are only 8 rooms, I would recommend booking it a little bit early. This destination does get really popular in the high season, especially with the surf crowds that come from Bali for a quieter escape and better surfing. So just make sure you lock it down early, and since there's not that much competition at this price range, it's very likely to get full. So what exactly do you do here once you're in Sumba? The main thing is exploring all the beautiful natural sites, so these are some of the things I saw on my itinerary in West Sumba. Number 1 was Wikuri Lagoon, this incredibly gorgeous natural salt lake lagoon that at low tide it's kind of just like a little bit of very shallow, clear, beautiful water, and then at high tide, as the ocean water kind of trickles in through the rocks, it becomes really deep and you can kind of cliff jump into the water if you're into that kind of adventure. I'm not. I just kind of watch and enjoy the views. You can also go see some of the traditional Sumba villages and see how people used to live and how they're still actively maintaining their culture and history in the age of modernization. You do typically have to sign a guest book and leave a donation, but other than that, it's generally free to kind of walk around. The first village I visited had a guide who met me and explained everything to me, and also invited me into his home so I could see inside of the traditional Sumba houses. If you're not with a guide, you might not be able to just like understand really what's going on or what people do and how they live there, and definitely don't go walking into people's houses without being invited. So I think this is one where I recommend going with a guide who can kind of help introduce you to the culture and help you facilitate that connection. And if you do decide to buy something, like you might see some ladies weaving fabrics and selling tapestries, don't negotiate, just buy it, pay full price. I bought like a really beautiful little, like, it could be a runner, it could be a scarf, I can hang it on the wall. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. And I just paid the price that she asked. Like, I just didn't feel like this was a haggling situation. Next up, waterfalls. Sumba has some incredible waterfalls. Some of them are quite an adventurous hike or trek, so if you do want to go see them, pack accordingly. I didn't, because I did not pack accordingly. Lupupu waterfall is one of the most beautiful ones, and also kind of an intense little trail hike, and then there's like a narrow bridge, a narrow like bamboo bridge you have to cross, and I was not ready for all of that. There are some other waterfalls that are just much more light and go over the rice paddies and are easier to get to, so just kind of do a little bit of research and assess your level of adventure before you decide to go on one of these. Beaches, which are absolutely incredible. Like, I'm a beach girly. I could spend the whole day on the beach, which is what I did yesterday, just kind of hopping to different ones. There was gorgeous fluffy like white sand beaches with some crazy rock formations, and then some of them, if you're into surfing, are really good for surfing. There's a ton of Aussie surfers here, by the way, who came down just to like catch the waves, because this is supposed to be one of the best destinations for that. Here's a few more practical tips for your trip. Number 1, cash is king. There's not going to be a lot of ATMs out here, especially once you get outside the big cities like where the airports are, so just bring cash. And also get a local SIM card, or maybe an eSIM that's Indonesian. There were a lot of patches where I had 0 service on my US phone and like barely a bar on my local phone that I put a SIM card in, so just keep that in mind. The connectivity can be very challenging. And also make sure like your hotel, if you need it, has adequate Wi-Fi service, or like what kind of Wi-Fi they use. I'm imagining that a lot of the guest houses and cheaper properties might not. The place that I'm at is on Starlink, which I guess is Elon Musk's system, and I'm imagining they do that because there's not great reliable local service, so they decided to invest in that. So just kind of do some research if you're someone who's gonna like need to be connected when you're at the hotel. Maybe do like a little bit of work in the evenings. And also only drink bottled water. This is actually like, I've been brushing my teeth with bottled water just because what's coming out of the tap does not smell like I want to put it in my mouth. So just only drink bottled water. And also, as I said earlier, when I said pack everything that you will need, also pack kind of like antibiotics, you know, stomach medicine, Imodium, things to keep things solidified if something happens. Like if you're in some place like Bali, you can easily like run to a pharmacy or call a Grab to deliver stuff. That's not the case here, so you've got to be super like self-sufficient. So this is my little first aid kit that I packed for this trip, because like I said, be self-sufficient and have everything you need in here. So I'm going to show you guys what's in here. So I have some Band-Aids, some Cipro. This is like an antibiotic in case you get like really sick, which has happened to me before. I have some electrolyte packets, which I learned my lesson from the time I got sick in Thailand, and I was just like throwing up everywhere, and my husband had to help me and I had to get electrolytes. This is, you know, more tummy pills, keeping things, you know, together. And then there's some like antibiotic wipes and creams and like a little ointment. This is like Panadol, Tylenol, and then some Neosporin, just like a little ointment. Pretty much everything. If I, you know, fell and scraped something, got a stomach infection, like I'd be able to manage it for the day at least until I could kind of seek some emergency support if needed, just because again, like, you're not in a place where you're gonna get to run to a CVS. And also don't forget your sunscreen and your insect repellent, because these mosquitoes are vicious. Like, I've been wearing it all day and I even had to put some on at night because it's just, they're just aggressive. This is definitely not a trip for the inexperienced traveler or someone who wants to just like show up and vibe and not have any plans. But if you're someone who can plan a little bit and appreciate some deep cultural connections, you will absolutely love it here. It feels so peaceful. It feels so just like a completely different world. There's no traffic. There's no like kind of street noise or lights that you're getting at night. Like a lot of other places, like it's just not as relaxing because of the environment and because of the over tourism. So this is definitely a place where you can really just like enjoy being a step back from all of that. Like I've been spending my days hopping around the island exploring, and then the afternoons like lounging by the pool, watching sunset at the beach, reading a book, trying not to doom scroll the news that's happening in the US. Like it's just been really nice to kind of fully disconnect and like live the culture all day and then just disconnect and shut my mind off in the evenings. So I would say if that sounds like your vibe, move Sumba to the top of your list and check me out on Instagram and TikTok to see more of my trip and things that I got into day by day and my daily itinerary. And I'm leaving the links to my tour guide and this hotel in the description box, so check those out if you want to plan your trip. And if you want to plan your trip to come in the rainy season, which is February or March, you can catch the Pasola, which is one of the most important cultural festivals in Sumba, where people dress up in traditional hunting gear, throw spears, and it's just a true celebration of their culture and history. So if you want to catch that during that time of year and maybe want to deal with a little bit of not great weather, it might be worth it to get to experience that bucket list opportunity. But it's about time for me to wrap this up, get my stuff together, and get ready to head to the airport and head back to Bali and then eventually back home to Hong Kong. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please subscribe to this channel and share it with someone that you want to go to Sumba with. And I will catch you guys in the next video.